Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's a common social etiquette rule you just don't agree with? I have never understood why people are afraid to tell someone else they have food in their teeth or something on their face. I'm going to be more embarrassed if I get home and see the lipstick on my teeth. And I'm going to be annoyed with you for not mentioning it. The rule I've heard for this is that if it's something they can do something about in like 15 seconds, tell them, otherwise ignore it. So like, tell someone that they have food in their teeth or their flies down because those are usually easy to fix. But don't tell someone they missed a spot straightening their hair or that there's a stain on their sleeve. That didn't just happen, because they can't really do anything about it in that moment. Once someone told me very firmly at a wedding that I'll have to go home right now and wash my entire hair because I got a bit of cake icing on the front strands. Their face and tone was as if something terrible had happened and I wouldn't be able to face anyone. So a journey home, shampooing off the hairstyle I spent ages on, also washing off the makeup I spent ages on with expensive products, redoing both entirely which would still take an hour even if I do a rushed and less nice version, getting dressed again, making the journey back to the venue. Probably the wedding would be over and the venue closed by then and I'd have missed all the things that happened. I just went to the loo and wiped off the strands in 2 seconds and I survived. Turning down something when you actually want it because it's polite. This happened to me a lot when I was a kid, but every once in a while as an adult this weird social thing will happen. Person, would you like something to drink? Me, yes, please. Thank you. Person, shocked Pikachu face, oh, I was just being polite. Me, were you, Vicky? Because that seems rude to me. Like offering to help clean up after dinner at a friend's house, the host is supposed to politely turn the offered help down. Hell no, I hate doing dishes, yalla helping lol. I'm ecstatic when a host wants my help. I feel accepted. I have been accepted into the group. I shall send no further correspondence until there has been an update of value. I have an explicit agreement with my friends, we take each other at face value. I'm far too stupid to understand nuance. I wouldn't say stupid, some of us just have better things to do than waste energy deciphering someone else's passive-aggressive rules. I love the look on someone's face when I take them at their word and they didn't mean for me to. Nah fam, I ain't wasting time figuring out what you actually meant. Just say it or keep your mouth shut. When you offer someone something, and they say no, even though they want it, and you need to keep offering it to them until it's socially acceptable for them to take it. Move to the Netherlands, we offer it once, then the cookies disappear in the cabinet, never to be seen again. Yeah, not a thing where I am in the US either. Maybe are you sure, it's no trouble, and then done. But that would be for a big offer like watching their kids while they do a project, not for cookies. Sending thank you notes to people who attended your loved one's funeral. You already have enough on your plate, plus you're grieving. It doesn't make any sense to me. Editing to add that I am in the US, in Michigan specifically. This is a thing. I am a big thank you note person and have never heard this. I agree that makes zero sense. It sure isn't one I had ever heard of, right up until my mom sent me one for attending my own grandfather's funeral. So it was extra fucking weird. Thank you for the well wishes for our grieving family, like WTF I am one of the ones grieving too. My grandma, dad, and uncles were the only ones closer in the grief circle. My cousins, brothers and I were more crushed than my mom. Having to make small talk when you're not in the mood, sometimes silence or getting straight to the point is just better. Awkward silences are only awkward if you keep thinking about it. Just relax and they actually become quite peaceful. Silences aren't awkward if each person is doing something. That something can actively be nothing, like watching clouds or people walk by. It can be nice to do one's own thing in the company of others. I despise that it's more socially acceptable to be an asshole than it is to call someone out for being an asshole. It's like when someone's being publicly rude, people would rather just ignore it and look the other way than say, hey buddy, you're being a dick to everyone around you, knock it the hell off. Then suddenly you're the asshole and they did no wrong. Yes. How dare you call out the actual asshole, sir? How very dare of you. Not putting the salary on the job advert. Worse is when they post a range, have the interview, and then act shocked when you say you want that salary range. My last job acted like I was demanding something completely unreasonable when I picked a figure in the middle of their advertised range. When I pointed out that they had listed the job at that pay scale, they sputtered and tried to ask me to be reasonable. I just sat there in stunned silence until they reconsidered. It was a great negotiating tactic I didn't even mean to use. I just couldn't process why they'd post a job and a pay scale and then pretend to be shocked I was asking for something in that range. When the hiring manager came in and said, so I hear you think we're hiring at bottom of the pay range. I just responded that the job was advertised at top of the range, so of course I understood that was in the ballpark of what you were offering. Is the company no longer able to make that payroll commitment? Quote, it's just a stupid song and dance to avoid treating employees fairly. You gotta wonder who this works on. Oh, sure, I'm making 50K right now, and thought this job advertised at 47 to 67K would pay me 55 to 60K because I'm extremely qualified for the position. But yeah, I'll take a pay cut to start at a new company that just made a bad first impression. 47K sounds great. Quote, that should be illegal. It's becoming so in many US states. Although a lot of employers are circumventing it by posting a salary range when they really only intend on paying the applicant the bottom number. It is in California. I hate the idea that you can't talk about your salary with coworkers. There is zero reason behind this besides the business not wanting people to know what others are making so they can keep pay lower for some. If you live in America, there is a federal law that allows this type of discourse. Employers try to hint it's illegal in the US, but it's not. People, usually men, mistaking the notion of a firm handshake to mean squeezing the fuck out of your hand. I once read a choose-your-own adventure book where I made a wrong choice and the Space Emperor had such a strong handshake that he ripped my whole arm off and I bled to death in front of his evil throne. I won't let that happen to me again, so you'll just have to deal with it, pal. Respect your elders. Sorry, a lot of my elders are unrespectable. IMO, respect everyone unless they show they don't deserve it. People getting pissy if you don't open the gift right in front of them at the party. People bringing gifts even if the invite specifically said, no gifts. Obligatory gift giving in general. Gifts are too hard in general. I am anti-gift. I was lucky enough to find a wife who agrees with me on this. Instead of birthday gifts, we have a rule that states, if it is my birthday, I can buy myself whatever I want and you don't get to object. Being fashionably late. The party is at 7, why is everyone showing up at 8 to 9? I find it so rude. One time I went to a party that started at 6. I arrived at 6:30 and was the first one there. I arrived before the host. Whenever I see those videos of like, dinner starts at 7, let's see what time people show up. And there's 1 or 2 people who show up on time and everyone else rolls up an hour later or more. I hate all of those people. I would just stop being friends with them. Yup. If dinner is at 7, by 7:30 I'm staying to put things away. If you show up at 8, hopefully you swung through McDonald's because food is over. Don't speak ill of the dead. Of course, nobody who repeats this rule actually means it sincerely. Everyone speaks ill of Hitler, for example. So when you speak ill of, for example, Rush Limbaugh and they say, don't speak ill of the dead, what they're really saying is, I don't think he was that bad. It's a very dishonest rule. I always ask them, why? Are they going to find out? Quote, if it's gossip, don't do it. It can be exceptionally painful to surviving loved ones, but if they were genuinely a terrible person, criminal, bully, etc., well, you kind of reap what you sow. Asking, how are you? And expecting a standard lie in response. I think it is fun to say, each day is better than the next, because it sounds positive until you think about it. I used that response for a while. Basically every single time I got a, that's great. I'm doing well too. I didn't ask. One time though, the grocery store cashier asked me how I was doing in a chipper voice and I told them each day is better than the next and they let the retail face drop and just give the most exhausted, yeah, I've ever heard. I'm a big fan of the Irish goodbye. I love people who do this when I host because sometimes the people who announce it start a goodbye train and then suddenly everybody is gone. I also prefer it as a guest. Wow, never thought of this benefit. I do Irish exits because otherwise it turns into a whole procession, like a mini speed round cocktail party of goodbyes. I often mention to the host that I will be Irish exiting at some point, so it was good to see them. Which is pretty much opposite to saying goodbye in actual Ireland where it takes 2 hours to leave. Wow, look at the time, I guess we should be going. Quote, everyone stands up, starts collecting their things and tidying up any dishes or rubbish, only to stand talking for another 20 minutes. It was good to see you, we'll have to do this again sometime. Quote, everyone leaves the seating area and moves to the hallway near the door, only to chat for another half hour. Thanks for having us over, well, safe home. Quote, the front door is actually opened, and final goodbyes are said for the next hour or so on the doorstep. We can't leave it so long next time, when could we meet up again? Hey, you could actually come too. Cue conversation about a new hobby, group that lasts longer than the entire time previously spent together. Waiting for people to take photos before walking through. It was polite in the 80s when people took 1 photo per day, but these days you'd never get anywhere in a tourist city if you waited. It's not reasonable to hold up a pavement while you take 17 photos for your Instagram. I'm going through. Also, don't hog the premium picture taking spot for 5 minutes to get the perfect pic. There are other people that want that shot too. Yes, this. Lots of photos are actually half-hour photo shoots. I remember some girls at the Mexico resort we just went to getting pissed because my kids were, God forbid, swimming in the pool that was their backdrop. They'd already taken about 800 photos before the kids got in. I'm so over it. In my opinion, it just depends on the situation. If everyone is taking photos like how it is in Times Square, then yeah, I agree, but if it's just one person, I think stopping is just the nice thing to do. Same. I'll wait a few seconds to let them capture their memory. But the social contract says they don't camp out for more than 30 to 60 seconds before they give way.